What's going on, everyone? Rage Monster here. Today we're talking about the Division 2 and the early game impressions, okay? Early impressions. Look, I'm only level 19, so I haven't hit the end game, haven't had to experience with the high level loot and what comes with end game in looter shooters and games of this type. Just going to be talking about our impressions so far and whether or not we feel this game surpasses expectations, and is it enough to bring people back that left the Division 1. So let's just go ahead, we're going to get down into the meat of it. We're going to talk about the loot, skills, gameplay. We're going to get into all of it. So first off though, I'm going to break it up into pros and cons basically, okay? So first impressions are everything, especially in games. If you lose a player base, look at Anthem. There's probably going to be just a select player base that actually stays, and that's the people that are just essentially hardcore for that game. So with the Division 2, if you weren't hardcore fan of the first one, you may not want to come back to this game. You may not, because you may say, well, I give the first one a try, I'm not going to give this one a try. So let's go over this. Maybe this will change your mind. So first things first, this is a looter shooter. So the big thing in this game is the loot. And the loot is one of the best things so far that I've enjoyed about this game. There's a wide variety of loot as far as weapons go and gear. So with weapons, they have a lot of different mid-range, long-range, short-range. You got SMGs, LMGs, shotguns, you know, your typical stuff. But you can modify them, which some games don't allow for. You know, Destiny, you can't really modify your guns. You get rolls on them, but you get rolls on these too. So with this game, it's a lot of fun to be able to build mods and attain mods and just kind of build the weapons and get gear to fit your playstyle. So one thing that's really awesome about this game is they introduced the brand sets or gear sets, whichever way you want to say it. On here it says brand sets, but these didn't show up in the Division until they added incursions, which is an in-game activity. So for them to put this in the early game, it really pushes it, so right away you get to experience what it's going to be like later on with being able to get different set bonuses and attributes to affect your build, you know. So do you want to be a high crit damage build, you know, a DPS monster or something? You want to be a tank that has a lot of health, so you got a health attribute, you got crit damage to elites, skill power, you know, whatever build you want, you can mix and match based on that, and you get to experience this though with the early game loot, and that's a really cool thing. The second thing about this game that I really like is the skills. The skills in this game, while I don't have all of them, I'm pretty sure there's more in this game. I could be wrong, you know, and if I am wrong, let me know, but I'm pretty sure there was only like 4 skills in the first one, but this one in particular is really cool. So like with the turret, you can choose between an assault turret, incinerator turret, sniper turret, artillery turret. So just it goes the same like with the gear, just however your playstyle is. You know, with the hive, which is a new one. You can be a healer, use it to heal, does damage, revives people, you know, your downed teammates. So the chem launcher, they all have their very unique attributes. There are a few things I don't like about the skills, but we'll talk about that once we get to the con section. But again, this just plays into your builds, and feel free early game to experiment with whatever you like. If I had to make a suggestion though, Seeker Mine and the Hive are easily my two favorite right now. I mean, maybe the drone. You could probably put the drone in there, but I would suggest, since you earn these by doing the story missions, I would suggest probably going with a Seeker Mine and a drone early game. Third thing I like about this game is the map. Okay, let's take a look. The map is bigger, at least visually it feels bigger than the first one. Not only that, but if you look right here, I've got different stronghold or control points, propaganda broadcasts. These little activities just pop up. The control points are fixed. They are where they are, but these activities, they pop up, you know, throughout the game, and it's kind of like a live event essentially. I was there, like if you played Destiny, it's like a public event, and they pop up. It's a good way to get experience. You get loot, and it's fun. It gives more diverse. Obviously, you've got your side missions. Like here's another one, public execution. You've got settlements, and I don't know how many there are exactly, but there's one, two, and then there's another one down here. So there's at least three. So those give you benefits too. They unlock stuff for your base of operations. There's also supply drops. I don't see any right now, but there's supply drops as well. So this game, it gives you a lot of different activities to go and do to earn experience, other ways to earn experience, and to just enjoy the game and earn loot. In the first one, they had 3 different sets of, aside from side missions and main missions, 3 different sets of activities that would earn points towards upgrading the base of operations for each wing. And once you earned those points, they were useless and they were boring. You know, I didn't want to play them, but the only reason why you would complete them is to try and get the achievement. This game, it doesn't feel like you have that issue because of all the activities, and they have different, you know, they're just like the first one. It's different enemy types. So some of them will have hyena. There's True Sons. There's different ones. So it's different enemy types too, you know, just like the first one. But it's more dynamic than the first one as far as the way the missions are set up, and it feels fresh, and I really like that. It doesn't get boring. Not only that, you look over here, you've got projects that you can do for each. These are for settlements and base of operations to upgrades, and this gives you, like right here, this gives me a bounty, gives me 33,000 experience, and let's see, we've got blueprints. This one gives me a Super 90 shotgun, replica shotgun. Compensator, this one's to give me a blueprint for a mod. So doing these projects earns you stuff that you'll actually use, you know, unlock, and it gives you a good amount of experience. So it's just another way of kind of not having to repeat and do the same thing. Now some of this is very much the same. Do complete activities, recover shade tech, complete activities, but it's in different areas. It feels more rewarding when you're doing these missions than it did in the first one, and that's something that I really like. So those are what I like about the game. Now let's get into what I've disliked about the game. And some of these things may change the later you get into the game. They may not be an issue, and I think this first one may not be, depending on your build, but let's go ahead and let's get into it. First thing that I have an issue with in this game that I dislike is skills and their cooldowns. So yes, well, you just said you like skills and the diversity of them, but now you're saying you don't. So with certain skills, like for instance, go ahead and let's pop one. So like if I have to use the hive right now, okay, it has 25 charges. Now if I hold the button, you break it down, it cuts the number in half of how long it takes to respawn. 120 seconds. So 2 minutes before you can use it again. And the further you get into games, the longer these engagements will last. But early on, if that goes away by itself, it's 240 seconds. So you gotta wait 4 minutes for it to come back. That's quite a while before you can use your skill again. Now with the Seeker Mind, I don't remember what the Seeker Mind is. Let's see, let's break it down. 45 seconds. So that's really not that bad. So what is that? 90 seconds, so a minute and a half. That's not horrible. So and each ability is different. So the ballistic shield is like almost instantaneous. You get it back. But again, like I said, this is something that later on, depending on your build, if you have attributes and stuff that affect your skill cooldown, it may not be as big of an issue, and heck, it may not even matter. Second thing that I dislike is the scaling when you're playing with friends. So for instance, my brother, he has had more opportunity. He's played this game more than I have. So he was, I believe, 14 or 15 at the time, and I was level 8 maybe. And what was happening was the enemies were closer to his level. So, or actually, I may have been lower, guys. I may have been lower. There was 4 levels in between us. So I think maybe I was like level 6, and he was level 14 is what it was, and the enemies were 4 levels in between us. They were at the halfway point. So what was happening was it was making it significantly more difficult, to where you don't really have much time to react because you're getting hit once or twice and then you're down. And it was a little easier for him. So in some instances, people might think that it was not as enjoyable for both parties because it's too easy for him and more difficult for me. But it almost felt as if it was not encouraging team play or playing with friends unless you're close to the same level. But the point being that it just feels like maybe there's something else they could do. Like, as for instance, I think in the first one, maybe I'm wrong, but how it's like level 21, 25, all the enemies are that range in that area. So if you go to a lower level area, like over here where they're all level 17, or, up here where they're level 10 or whatever the case is, the enemies would stay that level. So if you're playing with friends, you don't run into that issue as far as scaling. But some people may want that. Anyways, but that's just my thought. That's the way I felt. For the most part, though, I love this game. Another thing I will say, matchmaking, something that Destiny has had huge issues with. In this game, if you matchmake with somebody in a mission and then you complete the mission, it doesn't just break you apart and you go back into matchmaking, or I have to go and pull up whoever I was playing with and see if they want to join together. It sticks you with each other, and you can keep playing throughout the game with each other until you want to leave, or somebody wants to leave. That to me is really cool, because Destiny has a problem with that, like with the forges, where you do a forge and it matchmakes you with somebody, and if you liked the people you played with, or you thought they were good and you wanted to keep playing with them, well, too bad, because we're going to break it apart and we're going to throw you back into matchmaking. I think that's silly. It does the same thing with the Crucible. Sometimes after so many times, it breaks people apart and you can't even see who all's in the lobby still. It just shows you a number. So I think they did a really good job with that. Overall, guys, I love this game right now. I'm having a blast. If you didn't like the first one, and I don't blame you if you didn't, I would definitely give this one a shot. It does feel a lot of the same in certain aspects. The cover system, pretty much the same. Copy paste basically from the first one. But the shooting feels good. The game feels fun. As far as looter shooters go, right now, I would say that this is probably the best. If it's not the best, it's pretty close. Now, you can go rent this from a Redbox. You know, I think GameFly is still a thing. You know, just give it a shot. If you like looter shooters, you're definitely gonna like this. So that's it for this one. If you guys liked the video, make sure to hit a thumbs up. Leave a comment below what your thoughts are on the game, and we'll discuss more later in other videos. But thanks again, guys, and I will see you next time.